What do you want in life? The answer is, if you are honest, honesty. Even liars want honesty, at least in the rest of us. Honesty permits predictability. When everyone is honest, we can predict the future with some accuracy. Honesty gives us security, because we know if someone tells us what he will do, we know it will get done. Honesty also gives us equality. Honest people do not have the framework within which inequality can be produced. In a population of honest persons, there must be equality. Inequality is based on a lie, the lie that my time has more value than your time. We need to all be paid the same for our labor, for it is only the labor we put into a task that belongs to us. If we are equal, there is no means by which one person can oppress or exploit another. We get equality by applying honesty to our lives. To be honest, or the first step to living an honest life, is to be honest about ownership and our claims on the things of this world. We own only what we create. There is no legitimate way to claim anything we did not create. The a priori covenant is a pledge to permit you to own everything you create on you permitting everyone else to own what they create. If you do not agree, you have lost all claim to what you created. You lose sovereignty over your labor. You either agree to the a priori covenant, or you become a slave to the most ruthless and the most powerful, because you have abdicated all rights to the only thing you can truly own, and that is the things you create. Morality is the belief in honesty. The moral person prioritizes honesty, and we know that with honesty comes equality. The ethical person rejects morality and honesty and seeks to do whatever he has the power to do. He lives by the power of his own right hand. As some say, that which your own right hand can possess is yours. This is also referred to as the law of the jungle. This is the ethical stipulation that might makes right, and the end justifies the means. Those who are ethical live by some system of laws. LWS need enacting and they need enforcing. Depending on the law and its level of enforcement, those who reject the divine right of ownership have no rights. At best, they have privileges. That which is given can also be taken. Ownership is created by the labor of the one who did the work, which makes ownership inalienable. However, if you give up all rights to what you create, you lose those rights because you lost them through abdication. To refuse the offer of the ownership of what you create puts you in a war of all against all, in which only the strong have rights, and these the ones they assign to themselves. The weak end up with nothing other than what they are given. Those who abdicate the rights of ownership end up subject to the vagaries of the law of the jungle, which promises no peace and provides nothing but crime, war, and constant risk. If you would like to see the end of the 10 great evils, which are unemployment, debt, poverty, inflation, pollution, waste, taxation, homelessness, war, and crime, these evils are created and perpetuated by the state, which is the mother of all parasites. The 5 foundational errors give the state is power. These errors are democracy, ownership, currency, laws, and power disparities. The choice ultimately is war and enslavement with the ultimate collapse of an inherently unstable system, or the a priori covenant. If you prefer, there are other ways of looking at the choice. You can choose between good and evil, war or peace, spiritual maturity or spiritual immaturity, equality or inequality, right or wrong, physical or spiritual. We all have the choice of paying our way with the proceeds of our labor or wearing over the spoils as if no one really owns anything. However, let's stop for a minute and take time to understand the situation. We know one owns the earth. No human can create or destroy matter. It is transformable or malleable, but we have not the means of adding or subtracting from the supply. But humans do modify matter and turn it into something more desirable through work. Work adds value to matter and transforms something with low value into something with a higher value. It is this portion that belongs to the creator of the value. We can say that God owns the assets of the world and man owns the equity added to the assets through labor. When value is added to the earth, we replenish the earth. When we replenish the earth, this is charity. If we consume what we produce and leave nothing over, this is parasitism. If we all work and live of what we produce and no one claims what belongs to another, we have equality. The mission of a priori is to bind together people of faith. In modern terms, this is ecumenicalism. In practical and in more prosaic terms, it means we must separate from those who are without faith. A priori apologetic is a theology of faith, or the pure and applied science of apriology, which is also the science of separation. The reason why we have the faith we have is because it separates us from those who do not believe. If you have faith, the last thing you wish is to be joined with those who are without faith. When you join the A Priori Small Groups program that assists in your separation from the world, you will become bound together in faith with other Christians. As you learn how to eliminate the things which divide us, we separate from the world. When everyone works and owns what they create, the condition known as equality is created. Equality breeds honesty. When bound together in faith, we learn to live honest lives. When we are bound together in faith perfectly, we live perfect lives. All of our problems are due to division, and there is only one cause of division: conflict over property. There is only one solution to this kind of division, and that is to divide from the ones who seek to divide us. The church is believers bound together. The church only exists to the degree we have become bound together in faith. We can only bind together when we separate from the ones who try and divide us. The purpose of life is to be perfected. Perfection gives life its direction. When bound together, we create no costs we do not pay for. But we cannot bind with those who will not pay their costs. A priori is a logical construct. It is a mechanism or technology for binding persons together in the perfection of faith. If you commit to binding together with others in faith, we need to separate from those who would divide us. Separaton is a model community designed to form even as we bind together as a church while separating from the state. As we separate from this world, social problems are eliminated and a new era in which peace and prosperity predominate is created. Binding together in faith eliminates all 10 great evils and corrects the 5 foundational errors. Parasites make claims on the things that belong to us or to others. This creates a culture of risk in which faith becomes itself a source of risk. When we put our faith in those who seek to exploit us, we are the first to be compromised. We need to separate. Separating from the world separates us from the 10 great evils of unemployment, debt, poverty, inflation, pollution, waste, taxation, homelessness, war, and crime. The 10 great evils are created and perpetuated by the state, which is the mother of all parasites. The state gets its power from the 5 foundational errors. These are democracy, ownership, our currency, laws, and power disparities. These errors cannot be fixed within the system that created them. We need to separate, and to separate, we need to replace the ethics of the present system with the moral right of dominion. We do not own the earth nor any part of it, but we have the right to create value from it. We own what we create. If we live by this principle, there is no need for laws, and if we do not need laws, we do not need the state, and where there is no state, the ability to own assets, whether publicly or privately, is abolished. If there is no private or public ownership, the types of currency we use can no longer exist. But none of this can happen from within this system, which is why there is such a need for separation. We have then 2 options: continue down this present path to its utter destruction, or to separate. If we separate, where do we end up? The answer to this question is that we end up in a place called Separaton, which is a place devoid of the state and its parasitic allies. The options are these: stay in a place where you are alienated and lost, or move to a concept community in which there are no social costs, no inequality, and no dishonesty, a place in which God rules, and our only official and foundational document is Scripture. It is an offer you cannot refuse.